It's that time of year again, when every leaf in the neighborhood migrates to your house and your lawn. And you told yourself last year, never again. But here you are this year, once again, with a rake. Well, it's time to say enough is enough. This is the year that you upgrade to an actual leaf blower, the Ego 650 power leaf blower. Hello, I am Wanderer001, and this is my review of the Ego Plus 650 CFM Blower, or the LB6504, because this particular bundle pack that I got came with the leaf blower itself, the 56 volt 5 amp battery, and the charger. Now that is a standard charger, it is not a rapid charger, which will come into play a little later when we talk about the battery. The leaf blower itself can deliver up to 650 CFM. Now that is the important part because it is up to 650. It is not constantly at 650. It does have a adjustable trigger right here with a turbo button up top. This turbo button is what allows you to get to 650 CFM. If you are using it at its lowest setting, you'll be getting about 225 to upwards of a max of fully depressing the trigger of 500 CFM. It also has a stated runtime of 90 minutes because you, like me, probably saw that and went, wow, yeah, that's a long runtime. Well, I will state that that runtime is for its lowest setting and not using the turbo. However, I did test it at its maximum speed without using turbo, and that will actually last you 30 minutes, which is pretty good for what you're getting here. And I will also state that the blower itself is remarkably quiet, and that is due in part to the construction of the brushless motor system here. Now, I will also say that when I was originally testing it to see the longevity of the battery at its max speed, I had it out on my deck and turned it on, and after about 10 minutes, I realized I should go tell my neighbors, sorry for the noise, I'll be testing a leaf blower for the next however long it takes for the battery to run out. I was pleasantly surprised that my neighbors told me they didn't actually even know I was running the leaf blower, and I live in a semi-attached house, so I do share a wall with my neighbors, so that's talking about just how quiet this is. Well, why don't I use that as a jumping off point before we get into the actual blower itself, because a lot of the things with electric leaf blowers that you're probably thinking about is, well, how noisy is this? So let's take a look and check the test that I ran to find out just how noisy this leaf blower is. So there you saw, as far as leaf blowers go, that decimal rating is nothing compared to what you'll get with a gas-powered leaf blower. And that is kind of the sound of the suburbs around this time of year. Leaf blowers everywhere. And wouldn't it be nice to not annoy your neighbors and have all of that power to get your leaves out of your way? As promised, let's start back here in the back. This is the newer actual dial battery from Ego. It slips in and out very simply just by depressing this button and pulling out. It also slides back in very easily. Give it a little tap since I'm trying to do this around a camera and on a table, so that's not normal for me. It is their 56 volt 5 amp battery. Now this is primarily what's going to add the most weight to this, and that actually helps as a counterbalance to the rest of it because the rest of it is ridiculously light. Now with the included charger, because it is only a standard charger and not a rapid charger, it does take an hour and a half to fully charge this battery. So if you have a rapid charger, that will go much faster, obviously. But if you only use what's included, you're looking at an hour and a half between usages. That's why it may be good if you have a larger yard to have a backup battery, although the large chunk of the price of Ego products is their battery technology. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at the battery Coming back to the handle portion right here, it is a nice textured grip. It's kind of rubberized, so it gives you a nice bit to hold on to. You'll notice that the trigger is right there. It's not terrible. You can two-finger it if you have a small hand like I do. If you're going to be using this lefty, you can operate the trigger and the turbo mode up here on the top without any problems. The ratcheting dial over here is a little trickier to operate, so you might have to switch back and forth. The dial is nice in that you don't have to be depressing the trigger for great amounts of time. If you know what speed you want, you could just dial it in and grab back here and tilt down and just go to work. It's very nice. Now again, the dial here will ratchet all the way up to the high mode, but if you want the turbo mode, you will still have to press the trigger here. It does have a little hook here for a strap, and this is the one thing with Ego that I'm not particularly fond of, is that they don't have a universal strap. It's this particular leaf blower and a bunch of others have a specific strap. Then their lower or CFM blowers also have a different strap. I wish they would kind of uniform that, because I also have their string trimmer, which needs its own type of strap. And I do realize that they're different pieces of equipment. I just wish they kind of had more of a universal model. And here we'll back that out a little bit so you kind of see the trigger housing and the dial, which I was referring to before. It's nicely textured, so you will know it's there. It also, and let me take the battery out for this so it doesn't actuate, it does click. And you could feel that when you first initiate it. Now, I will say that I'm using a lapel mic, so you might not hear that. Coming down, we have the actual motor itself, and we spin this around. You could see these very large vents to suck in all that air. And as far as I was concerned when I was first looking at this, it looked very weird for a leaf blower design, but I will say that part of that design is why you can get that much airflow through it. Also, one of the things that I was a little leery about, or wondering about, was this weird foot stand here, which you can see is accented in green. Well, just like it sounds like, if you didn't have this stand, the leaf blower wouldn't sit very well because it's a rounded bottom. So this actually acts as a stand, but you'll see right here, you have a portion that you can slip a screw or nail through if you wanted to hang this on the wall in your shop, like this. Moving down, we come to our actual blower tube. And the blower tube here is 19 inches in length, so if you have a more condensed area in your shop, you can actually take this off by depressing this little trigger right here. So we can press on that, and this will pull off. And again, trying to do this around the camera, not the easiest. So apologize for that. I had to take it off, but you get the idea. So you have the short body, the 19-inch tube with variable tip. On here currently, you can see the concave tip. It also comes with a flathead tip. Both the tips have these up top, which allow you to depress and remove them. I do like the fact that there are grooves, so think of those as guide grooves on the main tube itself that correspond with inner guide grooves there, so you can always know where you're putting that on, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, the important part about any leaf blower is obviously, well, how well does it do what it's supposed to do? I ran several tests. I will say that I actually went off-site, somewhere else to blow leaves because my leaves hadn't come down as of yet. But as you saw at the beginning of the video, I have more leaves that I could blow. But I wanted to test this thoroughly several times. So what you're going to see is a pile of wet leaves at a different location just to see how well it'll do, as well as you saw that little bit at the beginning of the video that shows you how well the leaves blow. So let's actually take a look at this in action. All right, lengths I go to test things. You've seen plenty of people blow dry leaves, but how about going to a location to actually blow a bunch of wet leaves? So we've got some pavement leaves here that we can try, and we'll use the funnel tip to start with, and then we've got some wet leaves over here in the corner. So we'll first start with these guys here. Not even full. It was barely a challenge. Let's try over here. neither of that was on turbo mode. That is really, really good. So we'll swap out to the flat tip and see how that does. Alright, we're switching over to the flat tip again. We won't go into turbo mode, but we'll see how it does on the wet leaves. So that's on asphalt, no problem at all. We'll come over and try a different pile of wet leaves in the grass here. And one test with turbo. So I was turbo with the flathead on the grass. And then we will do turbo with the flathead on the asphalt. Even wet leaves are not a problem. So there you go. You saw just how powerful it is. You heard how quiet it was because I had a camera right in front of me while I was doing it. That is what I was looking at when I was looking at videos of this particular leaf blower. So just trying to give you more data points. Speaking of data points, this was the big thing for me. Just how much this cost. This particular leaf blower with the battery and the charger and the blower itself and the two attachments is $300. Some might find that to be a little steep. I know I'm learning just how much outdoor equipment can cost since, I have an outdoor space to maintain now. So my thoughts behind that are that I am buying into the ecosystem. Those batteries are interchangeable, so while the battery that came with my string trimmer is smaller than the one I have with this one, if I need to finish up my job, I can grab that battery and swap it into here. So when you think of it that way, $300 isn't terrible at all for something like this and the power that you're going to get. The one concern that I had, and I read a lot of reviews about this, was that the quality assurance seems to be a little iffy with Ego products in that some people say they got this and then within a month it died, or within the first 5 minutes of them using it, it died. Again, the first thing I did when I got this out of the box was make sure that the battery is fully charged and then proceed to run it for 30 minutes to do that longevity test, as well as go out and blow leaves at other locations. So for me, it sounds like I lucked out and got a good production model, but it sounds like it could be hit or miss. And with that gives me a little pause and concern. But again, I'm trying to produce data points for you so that you can make an informed decision if you want to spend this kind of money. For me, right now, this is working great. I appreciate the power. I appreciate the battery swappability amongst all the Ego products because I will be getting more and filling out my line in my garage of Ego products. So hopefully you found something that I did in this video helpful to make an informed decision for yourself. I have been Wanderer 001. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the area below. And as always, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, consider giving it a like, as that will help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here, you can always help fuel the next review by buying me a coffee, link in the description below. Last but not least, if you want to be notified when I upload a new video, you know what to do.